Greetings and welcome back. So today I've got a video collaboration with Heather from FreshParchment, who's actually my cousin. So when I started my channel, I actually didn't realize that she had her own booktube channel, but we were talking the other day about it and about booktube. So I asked her if she wanted to do a collaboration video where we just talk about books and just discuss what we've been reading and that sort of thing. So we did that, but in recording it, I got too excited and forgot to do an official intro and outro, so I'm doing that now. And I also want to apologize slightly for the video quality and sound. For some reason, the way I ended up recording it on my computer and the way my mic picked things up, I realized Heather's sound was a lot quieter than mine, so I was able to do a bit of editing and make it so that you can usually hear her, but it was all on my end. I did something wacky with the recording. I just got too excited and didn't do any sort of technical check and making sure that it actually recorded well, but it wasn't too bad. I just wanted to point that out, that it was some technical issue on my end. Hopefully I can fix that for next time, because we are hoping to do another one sometime in the fall. But without further ado, here's the video of us talking about books. Enjoy. Yeah, it's been weird, because I started off in January just doing videos, like just talking about books, and I was like, what? I'm like, okay, I need to find like a niche. What should I, because I started off talking about writing, but realized I wanted to talk to people more about books, and so I was like, oh, booktube, okay, this is a thing. Like, because again, I didn't know it was a thing, because I just wasn't that active on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, this is the community I need to be in, so I've been veering more towards that now, so a lot more of my videos are going to be like booktube based. I just did a half-year wrap-up, because I hadn't done any wrap-ups, because I didn't know what I was doing with my videos. So I'm like, okay, here we go, and now I'm going to start doing, monthly wrap-ups. And hopefully that'll get me to read more books, because in this wrap-up, I read, including things like I reread, because I just wanted to, like, read something I knew that was fluffy. I read, like, 14 books in 6 months. I'm like, that's not that much. I don't know.
The average American reads 4 books a year.
Oh, okay. So not so bad, because I watch some of these booktubers and they're like, I just read 20 books this month. I'm like, how are you doing that?
Yeah, that's the level I aspire to.
Exactly. I'm like, should I be there, or is it okay that I'm only reading 3 books a month? I don't know.
It is completely fine.
Yeah, I know. It's more my, like, how do I feel about it? Like,
right.
Yeah. It's like, I would like to read more books, because again, I have so many to be read. Like, I think there's just this entire shelf, and then that entire shelf that's out of frame right now. I just bought like 14 more books.
Nice.
We went to, there was this great independent bookshop in Huntington called The Next Chapter, and I went a little crazy. So I have a big book haul video in my wrap up. I'm like, I bought so many books, and I'm like, I need to read them by the end of the year, because why else did I buy them? Like, make it part of the videos, so.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I will read them at some point. It's kind of like buying soap, where these will not expire, and I will use it eventually. It will be useful.
It's more just like, because I'll get distracted from reading books, so I'm like, I want to help myself focus in on reading. Because I also did a recent video where, like, a month or 2 ago, I was simultaneously reading 5 different books and then not finishing any of them. Like, I kept just, like, leaving books behind. I'm like, okay, I need to stop this. So I did a video on it so that, like, I'd have some accountability for it. So I'm like, okay, and now I finished them all. Because one of them was Thief of Time, that I really wanted to read in the Discworld series. I was like, I need to not, because I basically left it behind. I had, like, read a third of it and then, like, moved on to read 4 other books. I'm like, what am I doing? But I get so, like, I want to sit and focus on it, but I was like, I was just all over the place. It was,
it happens sometimes. I was 4 at a time at one point and going, am I actually reading this one anymore?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, at what point do I just say bye?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess on that note, I'll get into some of the points I had for us. So one of the things was the oldest book we had that's unread on our shelf. If you want to start.
I mean, there are lots. I mean, are we going the oldest one I bought?
The one you've had the longest that you still haven't read is kind of the idea I had. So,
but the one I've had marked on Goodreads the longest, and that has been on my shelf for a really long time and was easily accessible, is Daniel Deronda by George Eliot. I am so intimidated by this thing.
That's big, yeah.
Yeah. How long is this actually? I've never actually looked. Wait, those are notes and everything. All right, so excluding notes.
Okay.
710. All right, so not bad, actually.
Not bad, but that's big. I tend to not do more than like 500 pages for books, but it depends.
Yeah. But I am just so intimidated by this. I really want to read it because it is that classic, sweeping, Victorian romance type of saga, but it also looks very deeply at what it was like to be Jewish in Victorian England at the time, at least in the upper classes, which has been a very different experience. So that's really cool.
Cool.
But Eliot has such an intimidating style. And I've gotten so many conflicting opinions from BookTube about start with Daniel Deronda, it's so much better than Middlemarch. Or no, Middlemarch is better. And I don't want to start her work and not like it.
Yeah, I hear that.
So I've just kept putting it off, and I don't know. And then part of me goes, do you watch the adaptation first? Which I still fully support, but for some reason I can't bring myself to do it anymore. And I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Yeah. I get that, like, wanting to, like, pick which version you experience first kind of thing,
Yeah. Well, and I found it helped so much with a lot of Dickens. Like, I watched Bleak House and Little Dorrit before I ever read them.
Okay.
And it didn't lessen my experience in any way. And in a lot of cases, it kind of helps, especially with longer novels, because you don't have faces to put with names. You kind of know what to expect, so you can really deal with the writing style a little bit better. You're not trying to sort everything out simultaneously.
Yeah.
So I still really support that as a theory. But for some reason, I can't bring myself to do it anymore. And I really need to get over that and figure out what I'm going to do with this. That's my spiel on Daniel Deronda at the moment.
Cool. All right, mine, I was taking a look at my bookshelf because I'm like, what is the longest thing I've had? And let me grab it. I've got House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielski. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I tried to look it up. But in high school, I read his Only Revolutions, which was so cool because it's sort of this journey romance book where it's this boy and girl like meet each other and like go on a road trip or something. And it's from both of their perspectives, but the way you read the book, it's kind of like, you have a chapter by one perspective and then the next chapter is the other person's perspective. But the way you do it is you start here and then you flip the book over and start that chapter. So like,
I think it has telling me about this one now.
Like, this is one perspective and then that's the other. So like it's printed upside down in the book. It's the craziest way to read and I absolutely loved it in high school. So I was like, all right, I need another one by him. Bought this and it's just been sitting because I'm like, I don't even remember what it's about and it's also quite big. So I don't know.
One of those where I'm not sure it has a plot.
Okay. That's fine. I really like sort of more wacky, I don't know how to describe it, but like non-traditional writing styles is really fun for me. Okay, this looks like, it looks like it's all letters and that's interesting. What the heck is going on here? So it's quite wacky, which looks really fun. How many pages is it? Because we have a whole index in here for some reason. So that's really interesting. It looks about 700 pages too, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So buy chunky books and get too intimidated to read them.
Yep.
That's a lot. So I'll have to take a look because I didn't realize that's unique. Because again, I really liked his writing style in Only Revolutions because that was just such a cool way to read a book. And it was very almost like poetry rather than prose, the way they told the story. But I just remember absolutely loving it because it was just such a interesting reading experience.
Did you ever read S?
I don't think so.
Okay, I no longer own it, but that's another really wacky reading experience, and you have to read it several times. Because you get it, and it's just a library book.
Okay.
but then you start reading the notes that these two people who are borrowing the book are writing in the margins.
Oh, that's so cool.
And then you're tracking in time, and there's stuff stuffed in the books, like your postcards and things that they leave for each other.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that idea. That's really cool. Yeah, I love...
That's definitely a buy for yourself thing. So I feel like if it's a library book, you'd lose those little
You lose the things, yeah, because that would be hard to... So what is that called? S? Is it just
S.
The letter S? Or
just the letter S.
Okay. I'm going to put it in my story graph. Because every time I hear another book, I'm like, okay, write that down.
Yeah. Did J.J. Abrams technically write that? I feel like he had something to do with that.
S. J.J. Abrams, Doug Dorst.
Yep, that's the one.
I will definitely pick that up. That sounds really cool. Because, yeah, I love unique writing styles like that. I know sometimes they're kind of, it's like, I have no idea what happened in this book, but it was interesting.
Yeah, that's always very much the story there.
Okay.
Because then you can go through and read the actual book that they're supposedly reading, and I'm going, does anyone actually do that?
Right, like, you had to write 2 books there.
Actually read the Ship of Theseus that they're supposed to be reading.
Oh, okay, so that's nice, that's fun. So then, my next thing was your favorite book. Assuming that would be on
book. Once again, I went digging, because I feel like I wang on about Shakespeare and Austen far too much. People know that. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So I pulled out the first Poldark book by Winston Graham. I love this series so much, and I'm so desperate to reread it at some point, and then I think that it's 12 books long.
Oof, yeah.
That's a time commitment. I will eventually. But I adore this series so much. It's a family saga adapted for television as well, because here we have the lovely Aidan Turner, where Ross Poldark got himself in trouble, and so instead of sending him to jail, he was sentenced to serve a particular amount of time in the army.
Okay.
So he was shipped off to America because of the Revolutionary War, and comes back horribly scarred by everything he's been through, obviously, and goes home to discover that, I'm not sure that his mother passed while he was gone. I feel like she already had, but his father has also passed. So now he has nobody. And the estate is now his, and it's falling to pieces. And so he's got to deal with all of that. And in the meantime, his sweetheart that he left behind thought he was dead. So now she's engaged to his cousin. And he adopts this whore girl out of an abusive family. And things happen from there. Nice. And it's the most incredible saga. And I love, especially in the later books, I love how much Winston Graham lets you get into really horrible people's heads. And it makes sense.
Cool.
You still don't agree with them, but you see why they're making the decisions they're making and why it makes complete sense to them. And
yeah, that always makes the best villains, if you can, like, see why they're doing it. Like, you don't have to, obviously you're not going to agree with them, but, like, when they make sense, it's like the I'm evil to be evil is just not good character development.
Right. Especially later on. The things he does with George Warlegan are so good, which is why I never watched season 5. I think season 5 of the show was really interesting, but knowing where he took it instead is even better.
Okay.
Slightly short explanation. Seasons 1 through 4 covers up to book 7.
Okay.
And they're all pretty faithful to the books. Great.
That's good.
But then book 8, between book 7 and book 8, there's this time jump of about 10 or 15 years.
Okay.
So you're still following all the same characters, but now their children are in their late teens, early 20s. So you get to follow them as well.
Okay.
But when they got to that point in the show, they decided to rewrite it because they didn't want to recast the entire show or use makeup to age them up that much. So they took the script in a completely different direction.
Okay.
And while I think it was cool, I feel like the books did it better.
Nice. That's cool.
So that's my ramble on Poldark for today.
Cool. Nice. So yeah, so I had to look around my bookshelf, and as much as I go on about Good Omens, I can't keep saying it's my favorite thing. So other than Good Omens, I think right now my favorite book is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. It was so good. Like, I absolutely loved the Night Circus, but this had such a, like, deeper world, and it was so fantasy and, like, this underworld kind of thing with a lot of magic, and it was so good. It just gave me all the good feels. Like, it was, it was that very, like, mystical, magical, kind of just everything is really fantastical, and it was just, like, a nice world to be in. So, like, I really enjoyed the Starless Sea, so.
That's a really pretty cover as well.
I know, I love
that one.
That sounds really cool. That's one of my favorites so far. But again, it keeps changing. I'm such a mood reader. I'm like, I like this one. Oh no, I like this one. So for now, that one.
I don't know that anybody has just one absolute favorite. I feel like it tends to be either one favorite author or a couple of different favorites.
Yeah. Because it's so changeable. It's like, okay, this is my favorite book, but I don't want to read it right now. Or, you know, like, or I love all of these equally. What have you been reading recently?
So let's see. Things I read recently and how I rated them. I'm not going to talk about them in order of ranking. I've just got a list I'm going to run through. So recently I read Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson.
Okay.
Which was amazing up until the last page.
Oh, I hate that.
I hated the decision she made on the last page.
Oh, no.
And so now I really need to listen to book 2 at some point, but I'm not going to have time to fit it in for a while. But it was so incredible. Would it be urban fantasy? I'm not exactly sure of the definition of urban fantasy, but it's about 5 different women.
Okay.
I say that because one character isn't really in it for most of it. So 4 to 5 different women who were all initiated into Her Majesty's Royal Coven when they were very young. They were all childhood friends, and magic runs in their families. And this is a government-issued coven. The lore is that Anne Boleyn really was a witch and started it at the time, and it's become this government-sanctioned thing.
Nice.
Protecting the UK against supernatural forces. And there's a separate warlock group for men. And so you see them when they're quite young, and then you jump in more when they are much older, in their 30s or 40s. And most of them have left the coven for a variety of reasons. But one has become the head witch. There's a better name that I'm not remembering. And then this child shows up, who is, they think, Leviathan, who presents this great threat, will start to, bring about the end of the world. So she starts calling all of these friends back in to try and deal with this child. And I really want to say more than that,
but spoilers.
It's also a major spoiler, a major turning point in the center of the book. And I love what that did to explore LGBTQ issues and gender issues through the second half of the book.
Well, that's cool.
Especially considering that Juno Dawson is trans herself. So it's a really awesome perspective.
Nice.
So I loved it for those reasons. I just hated the decision she made on the last page. I get where that's going to take the book in book 2, but not happy about it. But anyway.
Sometimes it's like
some sort of resolution to it. I just don't know what it is yet, and it's going to bother me until I do. So that was a really good one.
Sounds good. I think I'll have to read that.
Yes, definitely put that on your list.
I will.
Fagin the Thief was
that
one I read
really cool.
recently, by Allison Epstein. It was published just a few months ago. And that, as you would expect, retells Fagin's story about what it would have been like growing up Jewish in the late 18th, early 19th century, what made him leave that community and strike out on his own, start bringing in boys, what his relationship with Bill Sykes was, how he found Nancy, watching Nancy fall for Bill. And all of that I thought was really interesting and really well done, and it was beautifully written. Then she changed a lot of stuff for the end, which I didn't really enjoy, because she didn't explain that until the notes, first of all. And then I'm sitting there going, did I forget half of Oliver Twist? Was the musical that different from the novel? I didn't think it was. No. What's going on? No, she just rewrote the ending entirely. So, okay, I feel slightly better.
Okay, yeah.
And part of me understands why she did, but the other part of me kind of goes back to it then also kind of undercuts the tragedy for me of the original story. Because, yes, she was trying to right the wrong of how anti-Semitic Dickens's portrayal of Fagin is, and rightly so. But at the same time, all of their fates are inherently tragic just because of their life circumstances, and so then to change that really just makes it anticlimactic.
Yeah, I can see that.
To just bring it back to a production of Carmen I saw recently where she made her death at the end of an accident, because we have too many, depictions of violence against women. And I'm going, on the one hand, I see your point. On the other hand, that's why it's tragic.
Yeah,
like the catharsis comes from. So that's my rant there. But it's worth it for reading the beginning. I thought the beginning was really well done.
That's cool.
In terms of what I have labeled absurd but great.
Okay.
I listened to the first two Finlay Donovan books. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I don't think so.
The first one is called Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano.
Oh, okay, maybe I have. I'm so bad with that sounds familiar now. So.
And Finlay Donovan is a writer. She's younger than me, which is really frightening when I found that out. As I'm listening, going, wait, what?
Yeah.
But recently divorced and is just a hot mess to the point of being absolutely absurd. And I really didn't like her at the beginning because of it. But she then meets with her editor and she's talking about what she's trying to write and how she can't figure out how to dispose of this one character. And she's really having trouble figuring out how this character is going to be killed. But she's overheard by someone else in the restaurant who thinks she's an actual contract killer and hires her to kill her husband. And
that's amazing.
Things just unravel from there. And it is utterly absurd.
That's great.
But so compelling.
Nice.
I really enjoyed listening to them. I binged most of the second one in one day.
Oh, that sounds really fun. I love that the murder mystery writer being mistaken for an actual murder.
Right.
It's always a fun trope.
It then goes on from there. You sit there and think, how did you do this?
Yeah.
But she does actually explain all of it away in a way that kind of makes sense.
Okay. That sounds fun. I'll have to check those out.
Definitely find those. Those are fun. And then I'm supposed to be reading, and I do plan to continue, One Enchanted Evening by Anton Beke, which is a whole series that I bought purely because of who wrote them. Anton Beke was a pro and is now a judge on Strictly Come Dancing.
Nice.
For decades now, and he has written 10 or 11 of these books.
That's awesome.
Which are described as kind of Grand Hotel, Downton Abbey sorts of dramas, but with ballroom dancing involved, because
that's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, it's focusing chambermaids and professional dancers who are hired to work in this one hotel in London in the 1930s, and all of their personal struggles, but of course the looming war. And based on the little bits that I've read on the inside, I love how much I think he highlights how much of the British aristocracy actually kind of sympathized with fascist thought. That, it wasn't until things got really bad and it was threatening them that they realized, oh, maybe this isn't a good idea. For a long time, they didn't really see it as so much of a bad thing. And that's something that I feel like nowadays people don't really realize how close everybody else came to living that. So I love that he's highlighting that and how real it was, but with a little bit of fluff at the same time, because you need to lighten that up a bit.
So I just picked out which my favorite and least favorite from what I just read.
Okay.
I guess in June, because this video is coming out I'll have it at the end of July. But so from the things I read in June, definitely Thief of Time was my favorite. It was so good. As my first Discworld book, it was just so much fun. And the structure is really interesting because it's a huge cast of characters. The basic plot is that how do I explain this? I just did a review on it, so I should know how to talk about it, but somehow I'm always like, wait, what was it about? How do I describe this book? So basically, there's a clockmaker, and he gets tasked with making, like, the most precise clock, but in doing so, the clock he's going to make is going to, like, break time. So there's all these different characters that have to, like, they find out that the clock is being made, and they have to, like, go find who's making it and find it before it starts so it doesn't break time again, because it had already happened once. And so there's these monks of history that kind of control time and, like, take time from, like, one place and give it to another. And so when time broke the first time, they had to, like, put it back together, and it was kind of haphazard. And so, like, if it happens again, it's, like, really going to be bad. So you've got the one monk, Lutzi, which I think that's how it's pronounced. I keep trying to look it up because it's Lu-Cze. I'm like, Lutzi? I think that's how people pronounce it. And then his apprentice. And so they have, like, they can manipulate time, and they want to find the clock. And then you have the character of Death and his granddaughter Susan, and they have to fix it because, like, they don't want the world to end either. Right. So you've got all these characters coming together to, stop this from happening. But you get, like, a scene of one, and then it skips to other characters. And so it's a lot of, like, interwoven scenes. And so, like, I thought that was a really fun way of telling the story, because it's a lot of all these characters coming together to a central point. So it was nice to see all the different things along the timeline until that happened. So, and as always, you've got the Terry Pratchett sense of humor style of writing is just absolutely amazing.
I love the style of writing. I need to find a better entry point into Discworld.
Yeah. There's a website, Discworld Emporium, and they have, like, a quiz that you can take, and it'll tell you which book they recommend you to start with, because you really can start anywhere. I tried starting with the first book, The Color of Magic, and it's actually way drier than a lot of the other ones, so it's kind of a hard one to get into. It's kind of like with Doctor Who, you wouldn't start with Rose, because it's kind of boring and too much explanation. So you can start there, but, like, it's not how I recommend people to start with Doctor Who.
Right.
It's like, if you can start with...
I don't know where to recommend people start, because I just went in the middle of season 1 and then dipped out and then came back in the middle of season 2, and it was just so haphazard that I don't even know.
Yeah. I usually recommend people the way I started with Doctor Who, which is with Girl in the Fireplace, because I think that's such a quintessential Doctor Who episode, because you've got, futuristic spaceship, but then 17th century France, and it brings all the things that are great about Doctor Who together in one episode. I usually recommend that, or if they're, like, a horror fan, I would start them with Blink. Because even though it's a Dr. Light episode, it's one of the best. So, like, it's one of those. I'm like, start there, and then you can start over. Once you know what's going on, you can kind of get through the slightly more, not exponential, what word am I looking for? Expositional episode of Rose. Yeah, thank you. I was like, what is that word? Because I think that's why it's kind of hard to get into with that episode, because it's a lot of re-explaining everything, because they restarted the series. So, anyway. But yeah, so with Discworld, it's kind of nice. You really can start anywhere. The quiz on Discworld Emporium is a good one.
Okay. Because I feel like I've done my dip in and out like I did with Doctor Who, because I did the Color of Magic. And last year I listened to one of the witchy ones. Okay.
There's Weird Sisters, which is the next one I'm going to read. That was the one it recommended me start with. Because
maybe
that, or there's something rights. I don't know. I can't remember all the names. Again, there are 41 books.
Now that's going to bother me.
Yeah, now I get it.
But I feel like that's kind of Discworld adjacent, but it's not the series proper. So I need to find my Girl in the Fireplace Pratchett book.
Yeah.
What was it? We Freemen.
Okay, yeah.
So it was witch adjacent.
Yeah.
Discworld adjacent, but it was its own little thing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the more pocket books. I recently watched a video of somebody explaining all of the books. I'm like, okay, I kind of get it now.
Yep.
A little bit more. But yeah, it's a lot to take in. Trying to figure out what books I want to read, because it's like, okay, do I want to focus on one of the series in the set, or just kind of jump around. I'm doing a little jumping around, but I think I'm going to focus mostly on the Death series and then the Witches series, like, to start with, and then kind of go around. Because I think the Guards one would be good, but for some reason I'm, like, a little less enticed by, like, because it's very political kind of thing, which I think I will really enjoy, but for some reason right now I'm like, I want a little more fantasy. Like,
yep.
Give me a little more fantasy right now.
Yeah.
Please. But yeah. So I have 6 of his books right now that I own.
Nice.
So I've got Thief of Time. I recently got Weird Sisters and Mort from Barnes & Noble. From your parents got me a gift certificate, so I was like, ha, I got these. So I was like, what can I get from Barnes & Noble? That'll be good. And then I've got Hogfather and Color of Magic, and I picked up Thud it was just at Savers. I was like, why is there a Terry Pratchett at the thrift store? I need it.
Go with it.
Like, who brought this to the thrift store? So I've got a couple to get through.
Nice.
And then I guess my least favorite, because I was just kind of reading around, I got a couple of romance novels, and Truth and Beard. It's as stocky as it looks. It's a little bit like Mistaken Identity and then like enemies to lovers, I guess, because the main character is in love with there's twins, and she's in love with one of the twins, but she ends up falling for the other one who's like grumpy, and so it's your typical like just schlocky romance, but it was fun.
Yeah. All of the tropes.
All of the tropes, yeah. I've been enjoying, like, before this year, I really didn't, like, dip into the romance genre, but now I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, I really like the fake relationship trope for romance novels, because it's just like, but what if we have to pretend to be in a relationship? What happens then? It's just really fun.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of fun, because it's like, yeah, this wouldn't happen normally, but because of the situation they're in and the characters, it works.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
Yeah. A little suspended disbelief, it's fun. So, since I recently found your channel, I was watching a few of your videos, and I watched was it Get to Know Me tag, and you were talking about the nurse that didn't know what Pride and Prejudice was, and I actually gasped. I was like, how does she not know? How can someone not know what Pride and Prejudice is? I'm like, how?
But know what it is.
Yeah, like it's in the collective conscious. Like it's in
a thing.
Yeah, like what is Pride and Prejudice? Excuse me.
Yeah, clearly highly educated. You're a nurse. You have to be. How did you miss this?
Yeah, it's just real. I was like, how? How does anybody not know Pride and Prejudice? Because if you know any Jane Austen, you know Pride and Prejudice. Like.
Right.
Come on.
Even if you don't know it's a Jane Austen.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
It was just so funny because I literally gasped at that. I was like, what?
Yep.
So that was really fun. I was enjoying some of your videos. You're very good.
Thank you.
I like your videos. It's been really fun watching all the booktube, and I get so many recommendations. Again, like I bought so many books, I'm like, I gotta stop watching because I'm just like, and this one and this one. Like I don't have time to read all of these.
Yeah, that's why Goodreads and Storygraph are your best friends. I'm gonna mark these for later.
Eventually. I don't need to, because that was the problem with the not finishing any books. I was like, I'm reading this. Oh wait, no, I want this one, and now I want this. I was like, stop it.
Libby's really good for that as well, because you have to wait for the holds to come in.
Yeah.
So I'll use that for like the really tropey romance books that people want me to read. I'm like, okay, I probably don't need to own these.
Yeah.
I'll put it here, and now I have to wait several months for that to come in. So I will focus on other things, and eventually that will be a lovely treat coming my way.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy Libby, though that was the problem. I was reading 3 physical books and 2 ebooks. It was like, okay. Yeah. And a funny story with the holds on Libby, I found a romance series, but it's set in like Renaissance fair. So like they all either work or like it's so good. It's the Well Met.
I've heard of that one, the Well Met.
Well Met series.
Yeah.
But I went to take it out, and the first 3 were like I'd have to hold, but like the last one was ready. So I actually read the series backwards.
Oh.
which worked out, because like yes, you knew like okay, these characters, like you saw them together at the end, but like you start the book, these are the main characters. You know they're gonna end up together, so like there wasn't too much spoilers. But so yeah, I read it 4, 3, 2, 1 backwards. And so I actually just reread them, and so I was reading them in order. I'm like, okay, it didn't really change it that much because you get to know the characters anyway in all the books. But yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah,
so reading a romance series backwards was
similar
interesting.
Yet opposite thing has actually happened to me with 2 series.
Mm-hmm.
So I reserved I'm going to forget the name of the series now. The Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Mm.
But I read the first one and I really loved it. So I went, okay, now I will reserve the other 2.
Nice.
And had to, put a hold on both. Great.
Mm-hmm.
The third one kept coming in first.
Yeah.
I had to keep delaying it because I'm like, no, book 2 hasn't come in yet. I can't do that yet.
Yeah.
And now the same thing with Magnolia Parks, because those are so popular. And I'm like, I want to see for myself whether or not I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Could go either way.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for the first one, but I thought, let's put a hold on the others now, just in case. And then if I decide I don't like it, I'll cancel them. And the second one keeps being ready. I'm like, I'm still waiting for the first one. I can't
start with 2. Yeah. That's really funny. Nice. Yeah, it's tough when it's a series. And it's like, well, I can't start in the middle of it.
Right.
I'll get everything spoiled. Yeah.
Get all excited about, oh, yay, one's ready. Oh, God.
Yeah. But that was the thing, too. I went through all my Libby because I did a video of, like, ranking all the books I read in the Libby app, but going through, like, half of them were like, I took them out and then didn't finish them. It's like, I gotta stop doing this.
It still boosts circulation numbers.
Yeah, no, it's good. Like, I'm constantly taking things out, but it's just really fun, because again, it's I got distracted and stopped reading it and it just got returned. So it's like, I did want to finish it, I just didn't get to it. Luckily, there haven't been too many books that I've, like, intentionally DNF'd. There was one really stupid romance that it just got so dumb, like, in the first third. I was like, nope, I'm done. This is just stupid. Like, there was a weird, like, she, like, accidentally got high, and then I was just like, I'm done. No. I'm like, I don't like that kind of thing. No, I'm good. She was kind of a total mess character, and I was like, okay, we'll see, but, like, it didn't get better. I was like, no, I don't like you. I don't care what happens to you. I'm done.
Pleasant experience. No.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm good. So what do you have on the docket for next up to read?
Well, given that this is going to go up, you say, at the end of July, we'll see how many of these I've actually read. That'll be the fun part. So I'm in the middle of the historical fiction readathon.
Nice.
So Anton Dubek counts for that, and I'm supposed to get through the rest of these as well. So of those, the next one I probably want to read is The Agency for Scandal by Laura Wood. It looks so good. They claim it's 1890s. I don't know. This was 1930s to me.
Right, yeah.
I'll take either. It's fine. Plus the spines.
Ooh, that's pretty.
So great. Yeah. But apparently the Agency for Scandal is an agency for young women where they dig up scandals on powerful men and use them as leverage.
Nice.
So, and apparently there's a romance plot line as well to all of this. I'm not sure whether it's adult or young adult. She usually writes for young adult.
Okay.
But we shall see. I've loved... There they are.
Oh, wow, that's pretty.
These are all historical fiction in the 1930s. They're all very I Capture the Castle.
That's gorgeous.
Right? So Sky Prince of Gold was in Cornwall, where a young woman kind of falls in love with the family down the road, incredibly rich and has, Gatsby-esque parties.
Nice.
Snowfall of Silver, a young woman runs away from Cornwall to London to try and become an actress.
Cool.
And then Under Dancing Star rewrites Much Ado About Nothing as enemies to lovers in Italy in the 1930s. And obviously war is looming, so that's throwing things in the loop. But those were all really, really good. So
that's cool.
See where she goes with this one.
Nice.
And then further out from that, we also have Jane Austen July. So we'll see how many of these I get through for Jane Austen July.
Nice.
My TBR will be up where I will go more in depth about all of them, unless you see one that you desperately want me to talk about.
Nice. It's hard. You're a little blurry on my screen, so I can kind of read it, but yeah.
You're the best. Yeah, I've got some nonfiction.
Much Ado About Nada.
Adaptation fiction. Yeah, Much Ado About Nada is actually really good. She's written a couple of books where at least the first one and this current one take Jane Austen's and they rewrite them as taking place in the Pakistani Muslim community in Toronto.
Cool. Oh, nice.
So this one apparently rewrites Persuasion.
Cool.
So I'm intrigued to see where that one goes.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah, so as a result, I'm not really planning August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we're going to see what I feel like after.
That sounds good, yeah. When you have, okay, it has to be this theme and that theme, then you can mood read, I think. Exactly. I think that's a good.
So we'll see closer to what I feel like in August.
Nice.
But those are my known plans at the moment.
Good. Okay, I want to read these and then we'll see what I'm feeling. But I actually recently picked a book off of my TBR, and I actually used a D20 to like roll it. Like I had them all numbered. I was like, okay, so this number. So from that, I got Lady Chatterley's Lover. So I picked it up recently and I was like, I want to read this. I don't know why. I was just like, I've heard it's a classic. I'm going to read it. I'm like, oh, it's basically erotica, isn't it?
Yep.
Yay! Yep. Like, cool, that sounds fun.
Because, I mean, you hear stories about it being sold in paper bags and people being forbidden to read it. And I went, all right, let's see, how it goes there.
Okay, cool. I'm okay with that.
Let me read it first, but there are some scenes that are forever branded in my memory. And I don't mind reading erotica either. Yeah. I'm not offended by that. Yeah. But some scene in particular where I'm like, what were you thinking? What is this?
Why is this in the book? That? So that should be interesting. So I'll have a little video on how I feel about this. But I love this cover. Like
that is nice.
It's just gorgeous. Like it looks like it's painted. Like, it's so cool. This I picked up from the Huntington Library. Just had a little section of like book sale, and I was like, I'm gonna take this. Like they have them for like $1, $2 for books. I was like, and I'll take all of these. Thank you. There's a whole day we went to Huntington, and I just went a little nuts on buying books. And then I got Convenience Store Woman, which just sounded really interesting because it's this woman works at a convenience store, and like her family thinks she should be doing more and should be getting married. And she I think she ends up like marrying someone to kind of like get everybody off her back. Oh, I think. It's something. Let me read
it before.
Kiko is an unusual person, someone who has never fit in. But when she takes a job at a Smile Mart, she finally finds peace and purpose in her daily tasks. But there's a huge pressure on Kiko to pursue a career, to find a husband, and she feels forced to take desperate action in order to please the people around her instead of herself. Is there room in this normal world for someone as strange as Kiko? So, like, she's happy with just working at a convenience store and not being married, but everybody else is like, you need a career and a husband. And so, like, it sounds really interesting kind of writing. And apparently, Sayaka Murata, like, their books are very uniquely written. Like, it's a very interesting writing style. So I'm excited to read this. And it's only 172 pages, so it's not a long book, but it looks really fun. So it sounded like a really cool premise. That was another, like, a booktube recommendation. I heard about it a couple places. I'm like, yep, I need that one.
I know people absolutely love that one.
Yeah, so I'm excited for Convenience Store Woman.
Nice.
And then I actually have this book. I met the author she's in my silent book club. So like she's a local author, and she has 2 out of 3 of her books. It's YA dystopian fantasy. And it just sounded absolutely amazing. It's Across the Great Ocean by Virginia Mary. And so I'm excited to like get into this. But again, like, because it's my friend, I'm like, okay, I want to like really focus in. So I had to like get through the half reading pile that I was doing. I'm like, okay, now in July, I'm going to like sit down and focus and read her first book. So I'm really excited for that.
Nice.
So I picked that up at a local bookstore and was like, yes, I need to. But like, again, it's that sort of like intimidating. It's like, I really want to focus on it. So I have to like wait to read it. So it's been really fun. I love just getting to chat with you about books. So this is fun.
I did grab one to recommend to you as well.
Okay. Yes.
Because you had listed that as a thing.
Yeah, we're going to do recommendations because I thought that'd be fun.
You're going, oh no, what could I pull? And I remembered Bloodlust and Bonnets by Emily McGovern. It's a graphic novel.
Oh, that's cool.
Emily McGovern does a lot of work on Instagram these days. She's got a whole new series about nuns that are absolutely hilarious.
Nice.
Her first series was My Life as a Background Slytherin.
That's great.
What would it be like being one of the unnamed Harry Potter characters, just living your life? And They are hysterical. I love them.
That sounds great.
So this is looking at made-up characters and also Lord Byron and vampires, and it's very much playing on Austen and Bronte tropes.
Nice.
But they are just hysterical. And Lord Byron just being utterly dramatic all of the time. Like, yes,
that's amazing.
Of course he was.
Yes.
He may well have been.
Nice. I will pick that up and I will let you know what I think. But that's fun. I love graphic novels too, so that should be really fun.
It was a quick, lovely read, and My Life as a Background Slytherin is also hilarious.
I might have to pick that up as well. That sounds fun.
I still regularly quote the one where she thinks she's petting a cat and then, it's Professor McGonagall!
Oh, that's fun. Love that. Yeah. Anything Harry Potter adjacent is good,
Yes.
Somebody else does it.
Yes.
It's much preferred.
She actually had one years before where her little character was talking to J.K. Rowling going, okay, so hear me out. It's like Harry Potter, but everybody's gay.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, yeah, I will definitely pick that up. We'll see if the library has it. If not, I'll find it somewhere.
Perfect.
For you, it's tough because with hardcover books, I always take off the dust jacket because it bothers me while I'm reading because it flits around. So this doesn't have the dust jacket on. But The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George is really good. It's set, so the main character is a bookseller and he has a book barge. So he's got this I don't remember what kind of boat it is, but his book shop is on a boat.
Right. So
he's parked on the Seine. So it's set in or near Paris. I don't know if it's specifically Paris because I feel like it's not middle of the city, but it's vaguely Parisian, I guess. Again, I'm I love this book. How do I describe it? So we find out that he was seeing this woman about 30 years ago. He was seeing this woman. She was married, but the husband knew she had a lover, and so they were together, but then she leaves and he just kind of stops living. He just doesn't do anything, just sells his books. And at the beginning of the story, he finds a letter from her and it sort of sets off this journey, and due to that and other circumstances, he and this young writer end up on the boat and it going down the Seine to go to her, find where she lived, and there's another writer that there's this book that he absolutely loves but doesn't know who the author is because it's just a pen name. So trying to find that author and he tells the other guy that he's going to meet the woman, but she's dead. So it's very literary and adventure Parisian. I don't know. So it's really fun. It's one of my favorite books, and I thought you would enjoy it with all the literary references and everything. Because it's set on a bookshop boat. It's so you get a little bit of travel adventure, but in a bookshop.
Yeah. All right. So I've marked. I'll probably get to that in August.
That's fine.
All of this, but I've marked it in. I can get it on Libby.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Screenshots and everything. So hopefully it will still be there in August.
Nice. So I had a lot of fun recording this video. It was so much fun just getting to talk to my cousin about books, and both of us just sort of sharing what we've been reading and what we like, and just everything about books and, everything else, including, Doctor Who and everything like that. So I will be picking up Bloodlust and Bonnets to read. I'm really excited about that. But we will be going over what we thought of the books we each recommended to each other in the next video. So I might mention it in an upcoming video once I read it, but I'll really be going more into that in our next video. But definitely make sure to check out Heather at FreshParchment. I'll link to her channel at the end of this video and in the description. Definitely go make sure to check her out because she does great booktube videos as well. She does a video every Sunday. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day.